Imagine this, you've got some Bitcoin sitting in your wallet. The price is up, you're feeling good, and you start wondering, should I spend it, should I save it, or should I just cash out? Here's the truth, how you use Bitcoin can be the difference between financial freedom and financial regret. And today, I'm going to show you how to use Bitcoin the smart way, so you avoid the mistakes that so many others make. Welcome back to the channel, where we break down the future of money in ways anyone can understand. Today we're tackling a big question. How do you actually use Bitcoin in real life, without wasting it, without losing it, and without falling for the hype? Bitcoin isn't just an investment. It's not just a digital gold. It was designed as a currency, a payment system, and a store of value all in one. But here's the catch, most people don't know how to use it wisely. Some sell too early. Some spend recklessly. And others lock it away and miss opportunities. So let's break down what it really means to use Bitcoin the smart way. When most people hear the word Bitcoin, their minds jump immediately to price charts, massive gains, and sometimes equally massive losses. It's become almost instinctive to think of Bitcoin purely as an investment vehicle, something you buy, hold, and hope goes up in value. But the reality is far richer, far more complex, and if we're being honest, far more useful. Bitcoin isn't just about chasing profits, it's about reshaping how we think about money itself. And if you want to be smart about it, you need to look at Bitcoin not as a lottery ticket, but as a tool, one that you can use in your daily life to protect your wealth, improve your financial freedom, and even connect to the global economy in ways you might not have imagined. Let's start by taking a step back. Imagine you're standing in line at a bank. The line is long, the tellers are slow, and you need to send money overseas. You're told the transfer will take 3 to 5 business days and, oh by the way, there's a hefty fee attached. In that moment, you realize just how old-fashioned and clunky the traditional financial system still is. This is where Bitcoin was born, out of frustration with systems that are too slow, too costly, and too centralized. But here's the mistake too many people make, they stop at the idea of Bitcoin being an alternative currency and never move deeper. They never learn how to actually use it. And that's where the smart strategies come into play. One of the smartest ways to use Bitcoin is to think of it as digital gold. Gold has been a store of value for centuries, but unlike a heavy bar locked in a vault, Bitcoin is portable, divisible, and borderless. You can send it across the world in minutes. That's a huge leap forward in how we protect wealth. But here's the nuance, holding Bitcoin blindly, with no strategy, isn't necessarily smart. Yes, you can hold, but what happens when the market swings violently? Smart users set up systems. They use cold wallets for long-term storage, devices disconnected from the internet that keep their Bitcoin safe from hackers. They also diversify within crypto itself, keeping a portion of their Bitcoin ready for transactions and another portion tucked away as savings. Think of it like keeping some cash in your wallet and some in a locked safe at home. You don't carry your life savings in your pocket, you carry just enough to be flexible. That's how the smartest Bitcoin users operate. Now, let's imagine you're living abroad. You want to send money back home to your family. Traditional remittances can eat up 10% or more of the transfer in fees, and sometimes the money takes days to arrive. Enter Bitcoin. With a few taps on your phone, you can send Bitcoin across borders in minutes, at a fraction of the cost. For families in places like the Philippines, Nigeria, or Mexico, where remittances are lifelines, Bitcoin isn't just a novelty, it's a financial revolution. But using Bitcoin for payments requires a smart approach too. The volatility of Bitcoin's price means you don't want to send it blindly. That's why some users immediately convert the Bitcoin they receive into stable coins or local currency. This way, they get the benefits of speed and low fees without being exposed to sudden price swings. The smart play isn't just using Bitcoin, but knowing when to hold it, when to spend it, and when to convert it. Here's where a lot of people go wrong, they think Bitcoin is bulletproof. They leave it sitting on an exchange because it's easy. But exchanges get hacked. They fall for too good to be true investment schemes promising double returns in weeks. They buy in at the top of a hype cycle and panic sell at the bottom. Smart Bitcoin use is about discipline. It's about understanding that your keys, those strings of numbers and letters, are the gateway to your money. Not your keys, not your coins isn't just a catchy phrase, it's survival advice. You wouldn't leave your house keys with a stranger. So why would you leave your Bitcoin keys on an exchange? And then there's the trap of thinking short term. If you're constantly chasing the next pump, you're not really using Bitcoin, you're gambling. The smarter mindset is to treat Bitcoin as part of a broader financial plan. You set limits, you know your goals, and you don't let emotion drive your decisions. Let's bring in a real-world example. In Argentina, Where inflation has eaten away at the value of the peso, Bitcoin adoption has surged. People there aren't buying Bitcoin because they want to speculate, they're buying it because they need to protect their families from losing everything to currency devaluation. That's the smart way to look at Bitcoin, not as a get-rich-quick scheme, but as a shield. In economies where trust in the banking system is fragile, Bitcoin offers an alternative. And even in more stable economies, it acts as insurance against a future where inflation or government overreach could erode your savings. But here's the nuance again: Bitcoin isn't perfect. It's still volatile, and that volatility can be scary. The smartest users hedge within their hedge. They might pair Bitcoin with stable coins, gold, or even real estate. They don't put all their eggs in one basket, but they recognize Bitcoin's unique role in protecting value. Now let's fast forward to the near future. Picture yourself walking into a coffee shop. You order a latte, and instead of swiping a card, you scan a QR code and pay instantly with Bitcoin over the Lightning Network. No waiting, no fees that take a cut of your purchase, no middleman. This isn't science fiction, it's already happening in places like El Salvador, where Bitcoin has been made legal tender. The Lightning Network makes microtransactions possible, opening the door to using Bitcoin not just for big transfers or investments, but for the little things too. But again, the key word here is smart. You don't want to spend Bitcoin recklessly if you believe it will appreciate in the long run. That's where hybrid strategies come into play, using small amounts of Bitcoin for convenience while keeping your core holdings for the future. Of course, no discussion of Bitcoin use would be complete without addressing regulation. Governments are paying attention. Some embrace Bitcoin, others resist it, and most are somewhere in the middle, trying to regulate without fully understanding it. For the smart user, this means staying informed. Know your local tax laws. Understand that in many places, spending Bitcoin is considered a taxable event. Ignorance isn't an excuse when the tax bill arrives. But here's the bigger picture: regulation, while sometimes frustrating, also brings legitimacy. As more countries create frameworks for Bitcoin, businesses feel safer accepting it, banks begin to integrate it, and mainstream adoption grows. The smart user doesn't just use Bitcoin blindly, they adapt to the evolving landscape. This year, we're at a fascinating crossroads. Major companies are adding Bitcoin to their balance sheets. Payment processors like PayPal and Square make it easier than ever to spend Bitcoin. And countries experimenting with central bank digital currencies are, in a way, validating the very idea that money can and should evolve. The smart question to ask isn't will Bitcoin survive? But rather how will I use it in a way that serves me best as this new financial era unfolds? Because here's the truth: the people who win with Bitcoin aren't necessarily the ones who bought the most or got in the earliest. They're the ones who understood how to use it wisely, protecting their assets, avoiding unnecessary risks, and leveraging its unique strengths to improve their financial lives. So, let's recap this immersive journey. The smart use of Bitcoin isn't about chasing hype or treating it like a magic ticket. It's about strategy. It's about using Bitcoin as digital gold, as a faster and cheaper payment system, as protection against inflation, and as a tool that gives you more control over your financial future. It's about avoiding the mistakes of leaving your Bitcoin vulnerable, or trading with emotions instead of reason. It's about embracing new technologies like the Lightning Network, while also respecting the rules and regulations that shape Bitcoin's role in the world. Ultimately, the smartest way to use Bitcoin is to treat it not as a gamble, but as empowerment. Bitcoin gives you something banks have always controlled: the power to decide what happens with your money. That's why banks fear it, and that's why the smartest people learn not just to buy Bitcoin, but to use it, thoughtfully, carefully, and with vision. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I really appreciate you watching. If you found this useful, a like would be fantastic, and subscribing helps me keep creating content you'll hopefully enjoy. Please share your experiences and any questions in the comments. I always try to read and respond. Your support keeps this channel going. Until our next video, take care and have a wonderful day.